Hey everybody, this is Plegasus Plays. I'm just gonna create. Hey everybody, this is Plegasus Plays. Today I'm creating a video to go over the differences between the C major scale chords and whether or not we can determine which ones are major and minor throughout each note. So starting off in the C major scale, we're going to start on the A string. Now, normally people play the C major scale on the E string starting from the 8th fret. We're going to play it over here, starting on the A string. Now the reason for that is because I'm going to show you a bar chord for the major bar chord for starting on the A. I'm going to show you the major bar chord starting on the A string. Now the major bar chord for the E string looks like this. The major bar chords for the A string look like this. You'll notice what I'm doing with my index finger is I have it laid across the entirety of the 3rd fret, starting from the A string, going down to the high E, or up to the high E, as you might say. And we're completely taking out that E string, so you're just going to leave it open, but you don't play it. So, start from the A string there, and with your ring finger, you're going to bar from the D string, the 5th fret, the G string on the 5th fret, and the B string on the 5th fret. And be very careful not to touch that E string, and leave it for your index finger to hold with the 3rd, on the 3rd fret. That is the C major chord, starting on the A string. Now, earlier, I played the C major scale. We're going to go ahead and name each of these notes, and you'll notice that none of them have a sharp or a flat. That's C, D, E, F, G, A, E, and back to C. For the duration of the video, I'll be referring to C as the root, and each other note as its number: 2, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and back to root. The reason for this is because the major scale is transferable. It's transferable across the entirety of the fretboard. So, moving forward, we can go ahead and move to, now, each of these names actually have an Italian phrasing, which we can get into, called the modes. Now, each of the notes in the major scale actually are a part of a larger set of what's called melodical modes. Modes are exactly what I referred to earlier. The root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and root again of the note, except they're called by their Italian names. I believe it's Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and I believe this one is called Lorian, which is the B. So, going back, we'll start referring to the D note as the second, or Dorian. So starting from the second note, we can also make a chord. And that chord is going to be minor. The reason it's minor is because of the way chords are constructed. Going back to the C major chord, it's actually constructed of only 3 notes of that major scale. Those 3 notes are the first, the root, the third, and the fifth. That is those same 3 notes, the root, third, and fifth, are the notes that make up all chords in the major and minor chord set. So you'll always be able to make any chord using the first, third, and fifth of the scale. Coming over to D, Dorian, or the second of our scale, we'll see a completely different scale if we play those same notes, starting from D. And because of that, we'll get a completely different set of first, third, and fifth notes. The minor chord is played from the A string down, or the A string up rather, with you barring the 5th fret, or barring the fret with your index finger, and then going 2 frets over on the D string and the G string, and then on the B string using 1 fret over using your middle finger. You'll notice this chord is the same shape as a major chord played from the E string. We'll get into that a bit later once we get to the G. Getting back on track, we'll notice that the third note in our major scale, getting back on track, we'll notice the third note in our C major scale. This note is E. E is played as a minor as well. Are you catching on? So far, we've determined that the first, or the root, is a major chord, and the second is a minor chord, with the third also being a minor chord. You'll see that E can also be played on the 7th fret of the A string using the same minor shape that I showed you earlier. It also plays as a minor chord over here. We'll get into that in just a moment. Moving forward to the fourth note in our scale, F is going to be a major chord. This major chord is played the same over here as well. If you'd like, you can begin playing the scale for each of those notes that we discussed earlier. If you want to do it for the D and the F, if you want to do it for the E and the F, it'll go something like this. And those differences determine whether it's a minor or a major. Simply one note over. Moving forward, so far we know that our C, our root, and the first note in our major scale is a major chord. If we want to find another chord, if we want to find another major chord, we have to come down here to the fourth note in our scale, which is our E, to the fourth note in our scale, which is an F. After this, we come to G. We're a bit further up the neck now, so we can begin discussing the E-shaped chords. Starting on the E string, you'll have to bar your index finger across all six strings. You'll have to bar your index finger across all 6 strings. Make sure that your finger is straight. Make sure that your finger is straight along the side and curves just enough so that you can hit all the strings clearly, so that you can hear, and curve just enough so that you can hear all of the strings clearly. This chord shape for a major chord shape on the E string is played just like a minor chord shape from the A string. You'll go 2 frets over with your ring and pinky finger. This is also called the 3rd finger and the 4th finger. 2 frets over, you'll go 2 frets over with your ring and pinky finger. These are also referred to as the 3rd. You'll go 2 frets over onto the 5th fret. Okay. So, now that you've learned to bar with your index finger, we can start with the rest of the notes. Bar your index finger across the entire 3rd fret and go 2 frets over on the A and D string using your 3rd and 4th finger. That's your ring and pinky finger. Finally, put your middle finger or 2nd finger onto the G string only 1 fret over from your index. That will put it down here. If you've noticed, you might notice that this is the B note. The B note is the 3rd note on the G scale. That's because the B note is the 3rd note on G's scale in the C major scale. That's because the B note is the 3rd note on G's mode of the C major scale. Next, we'll move over to the A note. This is the 6th note in the C major scale. And the 6th note in the C major scale is also the minor scale. And the 6th note of any major scale is also the minor scale. Some may be familiar with the scale I just played. Going off of this, we can depict the first, third, and fifth notes of the scale. Going down the entirety of the fretboard with this scale, going down the fretboard with the entirety of the scale, going down the fretboard with the entirety of the scale, going down the fretboard with the entirety of this scale, you'll notice a different shape emerges. This shape is the same as the one you played earlier for the major scale on an E string, except you simply release your middle finger. Down here, this is also the third note of this scale. C. Down here, this is C, the third note of the A minor scale. So, now we've learned that the C major scale starts on a major chord, moves over to D Dorian with a minor chord, E Phrygian with another minor chord, that being the third. The fourth is an F, being a major chord again. G is a major chord as well. And then finally, A is a minor chord. So there are a total of 3 minor and 3 major chords across this scale. But I'm not forgetting the B chord. The B chord is a little different on the C major scale when it comes to playing it in scale. This is sometimes called B diminished or B minor 7th flat 5th. Or 7th flat 5, I'm not sure. Regardless, it's played something like this. This is called B minor 7th flat 5. This is commonly played this way for the sake of harmony, honestly. Well, harmony and ease of fingering, to be honest. I'll show you why right now. So what I'm actually holding here is I'm barring the entire 7th, but noticed there, it's really difficult to hit the 3rd, 5th, and 1st of this chord. So, and also, it kind of sounds a little odd, especially compared to So getting back to it, this is commonly played as a 7th flat 5. So instead, everything's barred. You put your middle finger on the 1 fret away on the A chord. Let's just skip this chord. And there you have it. We'll go ahead and discuss the 7th chord a little bit more, and we'll go ahead and discuss the 7th chord and its variations in more depth in another video. But for now, you can play around with different variations of your C major scale chords.